The name's Pierce. Detective Everett Pierce. 40 years on the force and still, some cases seep into your bones like a cold draft under the door. This one, it started with a call just past midnight. The voice on the line belonged to a hotel night manager, breathing too hard and stammering like a child who'd seen a ghost. "He's gone, sir. Just gone." But the door was locked from the inside. That's how it began. The Greenmont Hotel wasn't known for trouble. Old place, wrapped in quiet charm and the scent of fresh polish, with bellboys too polite for their own good. Room 312 sat on the third floor, far end of the west wing. Not fancy, not cheap, just average. The kind of room that leaves no impression. I arrived around 12:45 a.m. The night air was wet with spring drizzle, the lobby quiet except for a flickering wall sconce and a jazz tune dripping from the ceiling speakers. The manager met me at the door, short, red-faced, named Halvorsen. I remember the way he kept glancing at the stairwell, like he expected someone to come barreling out of it at any second. "He checked in alone, around 6, Halvorsen said, leading me to the elevator. "Paid cash. Signed the book as Daniel Gray." The name didn't ring any bells. We rode the creaking elevator in silence. When the doors opened on the third floor, something immediately felt off. The hallway was too quiet, like the air itself was holding its breath. Room 312 was locked when I arrived, just as Halvorsen had said. He passed me the master key with shaking fingers. I slid it in and turned. The room was dark, still. It wasn't ransacked. No broken glass, no blood. Just still. The bed was unmade, the bathroom door ajar, steam stains on the mirror. There was a cup of coffee sitting on the desk, still warm. And the window? Locked. From the inside. I paced the room slowly, fingers brushing against the worn edges of furniture. The kind of routine setup a dozen guests had passed through before. Nothing personal, except for one thing. A tape recorder, placed neatly on the nightstand. Not plugged in, not playing. Just sitting there. I pressed play. Day 3. Still here. Still watching. I don't think it knows I can see it. That voice. Calm, low, and tired. It belonged to a man on the edge of something invisible. Room 312. Third floor. Window faces west. It watches me through the mirror now. I don't sleep. If I sleep, I think it gets closer. I paused the tape. No sign of struggle. No sign of escape. Just a man who walked into a locked room and vanished. Back downstairs, I spoke with the maid on shift, Rosita. Her hands trembled when I asked if she'd seen the man. He was odd. Didn't ask for anything. Just stared a lot. At the walls. At the ceiling. Never smiled. I only went in once, to drop towels. He was sitting at the desk. Said thank you without turning. Did he have any visitors? She shook her head quickly. No. But I heard talking. At night. Only his voice. I think. Later, I reviewed the security footage with Halvorsen. Nothing unusual. He was seen entering at 6:07 p.m., going straight to the elevator. No one followed him. No one ever left the room. No one ever came in. Then something made me pause the tape. At 2:14 a.m., the hallway lights outside room 312 flickered. Just for a second, frame skipped. The timestamp jumped forward by 3 seconds. That shouldn't happen on digital equipment. By 3 a.m., I sat alone in room 312, the door closed, the recorder on the nightstand playing the rest of the tape. I think it's inside the room now. It waits when I blink. It only moves when I look away. But I see it in the mirror. Always closer than it should be. If I disappear, I hope someone finds this tape. Don't stay here. Don't sleep in this room. Click. The tape ended. I looked toward the mirror on the wall. Just me. But something about my reflection seemed slower. Like the image was just a breath behind me. My hand moved. The reflection followed. A beat too late. Later that morning, I had forensics sweep the place. No fingerprints other than the guests. No exit route. The door had been locked from the inside. The windows sealed. The air vent too small for anything but a rat. No sign of Daniel Gray. Not alive, not dead. And yet, the hotel registry showed one curious entry. The previous month, room 312 had also been occupied by another man. Same first name, Daniel, different last name. He too had paid in cash. He too had disappeared. This case wasn't about who took the man. It was about what room 312 had become. A place people entered and never left. A space that remembered the silence more than the guest. The file on Daniel Gray was thin, Just a signature in the guest book, a payment in cash, and a missing persons report that didn't exist. No ID, no fingerprints in the system, no credit card trail. He hadn't existed long enough for the world to notice. But I couldn't stop thinking about the other Daniel, the one who'd checked in the month before. Same room, same cash payment, same vanishing act. Coincidence doesn't wear the same shoes twice. I returned to the Greenmont Hotel that evening, just as the sun started melting behind the rooftops. The manager didn't like it, but I told him room 312 would be occupied tonight, by me. I entered at 7 p.m. sharp. No suitcase, no weapon, just a recorder of my own, a notepad, and a flask of bad whiskey. The room was unchanged. Beige walls, faint smell of disinfectant and fabric softener. The mirror still hung above the desk. Same spot, same angle. Nothing about it felt remarkable, and yet I couldn't bring myself to sit with my back to it. I walked through the room slowly, recording as I went. This is Detective Everett Pierce. Greenmont Hotel, room 312, July 14th. No visible disturbances in the space. Window locked from inside. Mirror appears ordinary. I paused, looked into the reflection again. Me, standing still. But just for a moment, a fraction of a moment, my reflection didn't blink when I did. At 11:17 p.m., I shut off the recorder and poured myself a drink. The room had begun to feel heavier, like the air was thicker, harder to breathe. Then the phone rang. Old rotary model, mounted to the nightstand. Not connected to the hotel switchboard. I had checked it earlier, it was dead. Now it was ringing. I picked it up. Nothing. No static. No dial tone. No breathing. Just silence. Deep and oppressive. Then faintly, "Don't look away from the mirror." The line went dead. I stood up fast enough to knock over the chair. Turned toward the mirror. Empty room behind me. But I didn't see my reflection. I wasn't there. The lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then off. Pitch black. I stood still, gripping the recorder like it could save me. My heart was a drum in my chest. And then, in the darkness, the mirror began to glow faintly. A pale outline of the room. And in it, something standing behind the desk, where the reflection of the window should be. It wasn't moving, just watching. Tall, thin, no face, only a shape. When I turned around, nothing was there. Back to the mirror, still there, closer. At 2:03 a.m., I finally left the room. I couldn't sleep in there. Not anymore. I took the recorder, my notes, and left everything else. Downstairs, I asked Halvorsen about the mirror. His face went pale. "It's been there since the hotel opened. People have asked us to remove it over the years, said it made them feel watched. But management, they never wanted it gone." I asked if the mirror had ever been moved. He shook his head. "It's built into the wall. Part of the original room design. No one's touched it in decades." Back at the precinct, I ran the tape. Mostly silence. Then, faint sounds. Breathing. Then a whisper. "You saw it, didn't you?" I don't remember recording that. I ordered the hotel to shut down room 312 indefinitely. I contacted the city inspector's office. Asked for architectural records. I even traced the building's history. Turns out, before it was a hotel, it was something else. A sanitarium. Closed in 1912 after a patient, unnamed in the records, vanished from room 312. The Greenmont Hotel was built over the bones of forgotten people, and some of them never stopped looking back. I spent the next 2 days in the records archive, eyes red from sifting through crumbling blueprints and old city ledgers. What I found was worse than ghosts. The Greenmont Sanitarium had a history steeped in shadows, patient abuse, experimental therapy, and one wing that had been permanently sealed after multiple psychological collapses among both patients and staff. That wing, as it turned out, had occupied what was now the third floor of the hotel. Room 312 sat directly above the reflection therapy chamber, a place where, according to the notes of one Dr. Alton Wexler, patients were made to sit for hours in front of tall, two-way mirrors. The aim was to confront one's inner identity, most cracked within days. One patient, patient 43, reportedly never blinked, never slept, just stared, until one day he vanished. The last entry in his file simply read, "No longer behind the glass." I returned to the hotel once more. Halvorsen was gone, quit without notice. The night clerk didn't know where the manager had gone. I didn't press. I just asked for the key to room 312. She hesitated. We don't give that one out anymore. I didn't need her permission. The key was still on the hook behind the counter. Inside, the room was just as I left it, except colder. The mirror had developed a fine layer of condensation. The air around it hummed. I brought in a forensic team this time. No EMF readings. No trace chemicals. No hidden speakers, projectors, trapdoors. The glass was ordinary. The wall behind it, solid. And yet, everyone agreed, something felt wrong. They all left before sunset. I stayed. I sat down across from the mirror. Notepad open. Recorder running. And I watched. Hours passed. No movement. No whispers. Not even the hum. But sometime around midnight something shifted. My reflection began to smile. I wasn't smiling. I leaned closer. The reflection leaned too, but not in perfect sync. There was a lag. Subtle, but wrong. A delay like it had to think before mimicking me. Then, it stopped moving entirely. It just watched. That's when I saw it. The mirror wasn't reflecting me anymore. It was reflecting the room as it was a century ago. The wallpaper changed. The desk vanished. And behind me, where my reflection should have been, stood a man in a straitjacket, head tilted, pale, lips curled into a smile carved by madness. I stood. The figure didn't. Instead, he reached up and tapped the glass from the inside. And the tap echoed behind me. I turned. Nothing. I turned back. He was closer. I left the room fast. I didn't sleep for days. Not because I was afraid of nightmares, but because I was afraid of waking up and seeing that face again in my bathroom mirror. I brought in contractors, had the mirror removed, and the entire wall demolished behind it. What we found chilled every man on that team. Behind the wall was a narrow, vertical shaft, only about 4 feet wide, running from the basement straight up to the attic, like a forgotten dumbwaiter. But there was no machinery, no records of it in any blueprint, just scratches on the inside walls, hundreds of them, fingernail deep, desperate. And at the bottom, a small pile of bones, yellowed and brittle, along with a cracked name tag that read only, Wexler. Dr. Alton Wexler had disappeared in 1912. The official report claimed he fled the country to escape scrutiny, but he never made it past that mirror. As for Daniel Gray, both of them, I believe they never existed in the real world the way we assume people should. They were echoes, reflections, reenactments of a man broken by his own experiments. Room 312 doesn't show your reflection, it shows your fate. Case closed. But some nights, when I pass by a mirror and see myself blink half a second too late, I wonder if part of me never left that room at all.